Good morning, everybody. We're going to start looking over play terms today because we're going to start reading The Glass Menagerie over the next 2.5 weeks of academic time. So, you should be taking notes in your notebook of these terms, and I expect you to know what these terms are. You may have discussion questions throughout that are based off of these terms. So, this is definitely something you're going to have to reference back through in the next couple weeks of this academic cycle. So the first one is an aside. An aside is short comments that are said to the audience. The rest of the characters on stage cannot hear them. So I actually compare this pretty similarly to if you ever watch a show or movie that breaks the fourth wall, like with Deadpool when he talks to the audience. It's something that's meant for the audience to hear, but no one else on the scene. The next one is a foil. A foil is a character that is the opposite of another character. This difference emphasizes characteristics in one another. So I gave you some examples from a play that you haven't read, which is fine. So I'll give you a real life example. So if you had one teacher that was really, really, really strict, and you had them period one, and then period two, you had a teacher that was very, very laid back. By the time that you got to your period two teacher, your laid back teacher would seem even more laid back because you had just came from the very strict teacher the period before. The next one is a round character. A round character is a character who changes throughout the piece, whether in their personality or their morals. So this is a character that develops. It's typically the main character is someone who is round. A flat character is a character who stays the same throughout the piece. Sometimes a villain can be a flat character, but honestly, the best plays and books and movies have the villain be a round character, someone who develops. But again, it's just a character who stays the same throughout the piece and does not change. The next is a stock character. This is a reoccurring character that is seen throughout literature. The good guy, the bad guy, the geek, the jock, those kind of things. Things you see in your shows and movies all the time and don't even realize it. So like something that's pretty stereotypical, like the dumb jock or the mean cheerleader, those kind of things. The next one is very important. This is a tragic hero. So a tragic hero is the protagonist who will eventually meet his downfall because of his or her own tragic flaw. So the importance with a tragic hero is understanding that inevitably the reason for their downfall is their own flaw within themselves. The next one is tragic flaw. So that is the flaw in a character that will eventually lead to his or her downfall. Sometimes it's not something specific. It could be something like timing or adultery or patience. Any of those things can be a tragic flaw. The next one is the protagonist. The protagonist and the main character of the piece. The important thing to remember with the protagonist is often people think, oh, the protagonist is the good guy, of course. But the protagonist isn't always the good guy. If you ever watched the show Breaking Bad, that's a great example of how the protagonist is not a very good guy, but he is the main character. The antagonist is the character or thing that is working against the protagonist. They are whatever the protagonist has to fight against throughout the whole book, play, whatever we're reading. So, as I said, guys, remember you keep these notes. Hang on to them over the course of the next month or so, the last month of school, while we're reading plays. I'm sorry that we couldn't read plays together. It's very sad, I know, because you saw my props all year, but we'll try to have as much fun with them as we can from afar. Thank you.